People have been saving for this stuff
their
for
entire life. I mean, do you have to make money at a side
No.
hustle?
No.
I guarantee there's a possum on my counter right now in my kitchen. When you call me next year and you went, bro, I made an extra, $40, $50, $60,000 bottom line because of whatever word you added.
Doesn't matter if you've been in business 20, 100, 50 years, 25 years. There's always someone better than you at it.
Are you ready to kick back and get inspired? Grab your favorite drink, pop the top, and join the Side Hustle Squad with Mike Garvey and Larry Delisante. This podcast is the perfect resource for anyone who's already started their side hustle or is just considering taking the leap. With in-depth interviews featuring guests from the green industry and beyond, you'll gain valuable insights and learn what it takes to succeed in running a business while juggling a full-time career. From personal stories to practical tips, the Side Hustle Squad podcast has everything you need to turn your passion into a thriving business. Now, here's your Side Hustle Squad hosts, Mike Garvey and Larry Delisante.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your host, Mike Garvey, with the Side Hustle Squad podcast, coming at you from the mobile Branded Bull studio here on Pod Row at Equip Expo here in Louisville, Kentucky. We are here with the one, the only, Eric Triplet, the pond digger.
Pump it up.
Yeah, dude. Oh, you have it on cue? Sick.
Yeah. So, we really got to know each other over the last 3 days. A little too close.
Little too much.
Larry wants closer. But we're here. You put on a phenomenal seminar at the LCR Summit, and I learned so much, and Larry as well with all of that. So thank you for that. But for those of you that don't know you, if you could give us a brief rundown about yourself and the business and what you do.
Listen, I build ponds. Been doing it for 25 years. It's a love and a passion. And currently I run a coaching group, basically sales, basically a seminar that I did at the LCR Summit is just to help contractors not be douchebags.
Yeah.
And like most contractors are not douchebags, but some of them are, right? But sometimes they just come off as a douchebag to their customers, and so they kind of screw things up. And I'm just like, let me just help you say the right words, do the right things, teach you how to. It's hard to teach someone over the phone, like to have a communications and let their prospect know over the phone that, hey, I'm trustworthy, I'm reliable, I'm courageous, like all those things. Where most contractors, the way they talk, they're in a hurry, so they might seem a little rude and all those things. Right. So like my goal currently as I'm, getting older, I want to make sure I'm helping contractors become the best versions of themselves, creating a better experience for the contractor and the client, and make the world a better place like that.
Yeah, because you hear so many at so many times. A lot of people have been burned by contractors, had a bad experience, and they almost go into it with a preconceived notion that he's going to probably be the one. He's just going to be like the same. Yeah.
That's it. And so, like, how can you bring that guard down, right? How because I just want to get to know you. Can we work together? Do we like each other? Can you afford me? Does my timeline work? Right? Are we a right fit for each other? So that we have to have that conversation with the client. And if they coming in with that preconceived notion, like contractors are douchebags, like they cheated my neighbor out of something and they left, the guy was pissing in the bushes, and they, like all these things are going through their head, so they have their guard up right away. So, I mean, how can we bring that sales resistance down? How can we bring that guard down? Just have a good conversation, right? So that's what we want to do.
Your class actually helped me a lot. Like listening to you speak, I've been in business for 20-something years, and to say, like, you never know it all. You just don't. You don't know it all. Sometimes you have to hear someone say stuff, and then you kind of take it all in, put it together. And I learned so much from what you taught. And I actually told Tim, like, I have to actually go home and I'm going to study that book and, like, implement, like, a lot of that stuff. Maybe not everything. Yeah. Because maybe not everything's for me. But just to pull, like, one thing out of that could change my whole business around tremendously. And I really thought what you did was, like, a great
Especially
great
on
class.
those big paver jobs that you do and stuff like that there's so much people have been saving for this stuff
their entire life.
Right.
No, like that's what I'm trying to tell people. Like sometimes it's their entire life to do a big project like that. For me, we do ponds. So if I'm doing $40,000 water feature for someone in their backyard, it could be a dream, a once-in-a-lifetime dream, right? In their forever home. And that's kind of the same thing, for a big paver job like that. It's such a big, important thing. It's almost like, it's as big as a marriage. It's as big as having a kids. It's like, hey, they've waited a long time to do this. It costs a lot of money to do construction nowadays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what are some, in your business, you've seen over the years, I'm sure ups, downs. What has like the recent challenge been in your business?
I've actually rediscovered myself. This is maybe going to go sideways, and you guys probably
We'd love that.
You guys probably don't know me that well, but you're going to get to know me a little bit more.
Yeah.
Here. Come a little closer. No.
Okay.
Look,
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
In 2015, I was diagnosed with throat cancer, and so I shut down my construction company for almost 3 years. So I came back in 2018-ish, and I completely started over. So. At that time in my career, I had guys that had been working with me for a decade or 14, 15 years, long time, right? And I helped them get their contractor's licenses, and I had 3 or 4 guys on the team that I helped them get their contractor's license, and I got my wife a ranch so I could go and die.
Right.
Like I thought I was over, right? It's the end of the line for me. Like, let me just set everything up. And so, ultimately I got better, which is amazing. It's a miracle, right? So 2018 and a half, almost 2019, I'm like, my doctor's like, hey, you're good, bro. Like, go get back after it. So I was like, oh shit, what do I do? What do I do with my hands? Like, I'm not sure, right? Like,
right.
So, I started this, do I want to get back into that part of my business? Do I want to add that kind of stress? Because running a business is hard. Construction business, right? So, do I want to get that back? Do I want to bring on that stress? So at that point, I decided to slowly move into it. Took on a couple of smaller jobs, but then I had to, rebuild. I hire apprentices and hire, and then train people to do it the way I wanted to. So I had to rebuild a world-class construction company, and that took a little bit of time. And I had to do it through COVID.
That's even harder.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting evolution, but I'm very proud to say, and I'm very proud of the fact that most contractors will never hit $1 million. That's the reality of it. And you heard Jonathan Petrosnik talk about that.
Yeah.
He's like, most of them just quit at $500,000. They just run out of steam and fall apart. So I had a world-class, super niche down construction company specializing in water features, and then I shut it down, and then I rebuilt it from scratch. Which was and that didn't really sink into me until, just last year. So now we're doing, $1 million again. We'll do $2.5 million this year. And so that for me is hey, I not only did it once, I did it twice. And now it's that's kind of been the challenges of overcoming, rebuilding that team again and setting in the systems. Plus times have changed. And so all that kind of stuff has been probably my big challenge. And it's been very rewarding, but it's also stressful.
Oh yeah, and building the business again the second time, I guess you got to do what I don't know how to say, you got to do exactly how you wanted it to go, opposed to the first time. You maybe avoiding some mistakes you
happened
made.
A lot faster.
It happened fast,
sure.
right? Is that what you noticed?
Yeah.
That it goes faster, and you could avoid. Nope, not going to do that. And I feel like when me and Larry partnered up too, it's he knew what to. No, we're not doing. No, we shouldn't do that. We should reinvest, and do this.
That's the experience. I already made that mistake before. We got to go that way.
We got to go
Your
that.
Intuition's a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
But I do want to say, so that it's the Side Hustle, because it's the Side Hustle Squad podcast, right?
Right.
So it's interesting because coaching contractors has always been a little, a rewarding thing that I do on the side.
Right.
It's always been this thing where I help people out, coming up in the business. But now I'm I want to do this professionally, I think, and it's interesting because it's a side hustle. I don't make a lot of money at it, but man, it's really fulfilling. Like when I help a contractor change the way they run things. Like when you call me next year and you went, bro, I made an extra, $40, $50, $60,000 bottom line because of whatever word you added to the way you
Something
talk to
simple.
people. A word, bro. Like something so simple you're gonna add. It's like you changed my bottom line. Like I had a guy that was like borderline suicidal, like just like down, and just like he needed to be brought back up. And so he trained with me for like a month. He's like, I just need to tune up, just tune me up a little bit. He came in and trained with me for a month, and then he's been with me for like 9 months. He like won't leave me. I couldn't get rid of him right now because he just comes in because we have accountability calls. And so, there's not a lot of money there for me in that regard, but man, it's really fulfilling when he shoots me a text. He's like, bro, you literally saved me $20,000 on this last job. I would have lost it. That first thing I told you, you suck at sales if you negotiate inside your head for the client. He was negotiating with himself. He needed $150 for the job. They told him they didn't want to spend more than $130. But they wanted $150.
Yeah, they didn't want $130. They wanted $150 to pay $130.
Yes. And so he was literally like, I need $150. Like I'm paraphrasing some of this, but he was like, he had me on his shoulder. He was like sitting right there, and he's like, this is a $150,000 conversation. And then he just shut up. I'm like, just don't try and justify. Oh, but we have the warranty, and we're going to do this, and we're going to come back, and we'll give you free service, and we'll do this, He just said the number, and he was just silent, and like a minute goes by. No one's talking. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
And I know he's going to fill the gap. He's just going to start talking, right? So he just he just didn't say a word. And
we don't know what's going to come out of his mouth.
You don't have no idea. And a minute goes by, and they're like, when can you start? And he got in his car, and he called me. He didn't call his wife, he literally picked the phone up and was like, bro, this is what just happened to me. And it's such a rewarding feeling for me to be like, wow, I really made a big difference in this guy's life.
I grabbed you after your speech and kind of talked to you and gave you some scenarios that I was having or a situation I had. And you told me a better way of handling it, which, like I said, it doesn't matter if you've been in business 20, 100, 50 years, 25 years. There's always someone better than you at it and someone who knows it. And it seems like you mastered it. Like you literally mastered it. And how you present yourself, how you have your steps. And like, I don't want to go over too much because I want people to call you and like get a lot of this from you. But just how you figured it out and you put it all together. And your book was great. Like that thing was great.
That's gold.
It was gold. It is. It's gold.
It really is. There's so changing a word of how you can talk to somebody. Well, the one word was
hope.
Like,
simple.
Yeah.
Simple.
I mean, like, how are you hoping I can help? Like that actually. So instead of like, if you answer the phone, hey, how can I help you today? This is Larry. Like it's the customer's going to have some resistance because like you kind of feel like a salesman. Like you're here to, what am I going to do to make money on you right now? Like,
right.
But yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, this is Larry. How are you hoping I can help? Yeah. Hoping just means like I might not be able to help you. Yeah. So they're like, well, wait, I really need him to help. I hope he can help me. Right. And so now all of a sudden that sales resistance drops, the guard comes down, they're open up a little bit, and it's up to you not to get up and say something stupid to get him to put that wall back up.
Yeah.
You just got to keep now we're just lowering it down and we're like having conversation.
Can I ask you a question on this? I heard you say before, you want to make sure that the client's right for you.
Yeah.
Also, not just like and you want to make sure you're right for the client both ways. It's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
Like, as you could have a client that you could put a rock 1 inch in the wrong spot and it's a total disaster because they just don't like you as a contractor.
Right.
So why is it that you like? What makes that fit so good for you that you have that rule?
So, when we're talking to a customer, it's almost like an interview. And if you go back, like you've been doing this a long time, pre-internet, right?
Way pre-internet. Yeah.
Way pre-internet. So when a call would come in the past, there was no internet. So you'd have to be like, hey, we've won a lot of awards. I've been doing this for 8 years. I got 7 guys. We have 9 trucks and and I'm with the Chamber of Commerce. And like you're trying to let them know that you're qualified, right? We don't have to do that as much anymore. I mean, we shouldn't have to do that almost at all unless they ask. We have literally crossed that barrier to where the social media is there, the websites are there, they know how to do all that stuff, right? They know you have an award.
Yeah, you don't need to tell them.
They know you have a team. They know you have, a truck with your face on it or whatever you have. Like, they know you do fertilizing. They know everything about you almost. They're vetting you. That's what they do. And so now it's like it's up to us to go like, hey, let's ask them questions to make sure we like them, right? So, I mean, the last thing you want to do is get on a job and go like, oh, this is going to be trouble, right? So we just have that conversation with them.
That's great.
Yeah.
I want to talk about. We got into outside of business.
About your big juicy butt. We got way outside of business, bro. Way outside.
I actually said to Larry.
He does have a juicy
I go to Larry. I go, did you tell him about my butt?
I said, no, man. He noticed it, man.
And he goes, no, he just noticed it. I was like, all right.
He's from California. He was hoping you had like a G-shirt on.
Speaking of like side hustles, not that you make, but where you live, the animal sanctuary. I want to know more about that. The wildlife rescue. I thought that was super awesome.
Oh, well, first let's identify what a side hustle is. I mean, do you have to make money at a side hustle?
No.
Okay. I mean, this is interesting because I always think like, oh, my side hustle, I got to go make money.
Something you enjoy.
You enjoy, but then also like you're helping animals.
Yeah. No, it's incredibly rewarding for us as well. Like when I met my wife, she was like at a pet store and she would be like nursing a baby possum. Come in and there'd be a baby raccoon on the counter. She's putting milk down his throat, and like a crow would come in, orphaned, and she's feeding it. Like, so it's been a really important part of like who we are, right? And so, when we had kids, we gave it up for a while, and we didn't do it at all, really. We would help people still, but we wouldn't like have they're on my fucking kitchen counter, bro. Like I guarantee there's a possum on my counter right now in my kitchen. I swear to God.
Just hanging out.
Yeah, and there's owls and raptors and eagles come through and coyotes and like you just name it, bobcats, like everything. And so actually when I in 2015 when I thought I was done, like the goal was to get my wife to this ranch before I left the world, right? Let's get you this ranch, and then I did my job, right? And like, dude, it's such a blessing. I have goosebumps telling you this. Like, here I am 9 years later on the ranch with her, making this stuff happen, building these habitats for these animals, and it's strictly temporary. They come in, we rehabilitate them, and then we send them on their way.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't you own an aquarium or you had some with fish? Or I'm assuming because that's what you're talking about. Your wife had that, the pet store, and you had aquarium. I heard you say.
So funny. This is all side hustle shit. Just hit me now because like I was a framer. I was a journeyman carpenter, framer specifically. And my side hustle was fish. I just loved fish like crazy, and then that became like my main thing. And then like my side hustle was breeding reptiles. So I'm breeding chameleons, and this is 30 years ago.
That's wild.
I'm breeding chameleons and pythons and bearded dragons and all this stuff.
It's awesome.
And then I'd have all these babies, and I'd go to this pet store. And I would sell them as my side hustle. Like there's always a side hustle. Always, bro.
Right.
And so here's my side hustle. I'm like, oh damn, this she's fine. This girl's hot.
We're on the right
and
spot.
so all of a sudden, like, now we're married. It's 26 years later. I'm married to her. We have kids, and our side hustle now is like literally rehabilitating the animals. And we just got a 501c3 about 2.5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Which has been a blessing, because we put out a lot of money for this.
Right.
But it's almost a curse. Dude, like, as soon as we put the 501c3 out, she's like, oh, now we can get donations. But we just get more animals, bro. Oh, my God. Dude, it's staggering. I probably have 50 raccoons at home right now. I probably have 60 possums. And we have an affiliate that's close by. Earlier this year, 60 owls.
Oh, wow.
They're like $3 a day to feed.
I never even saw 60 owls in my life.
$3 a day to feed one owl. Do the math, bro. It's staggering. So like the more we like tell people, hey, we're here to help, like more animals come. The animals come faster than the money comes.
Wow.
Right.
So now I really I have to get this coaching shit going, bro. My other side hustle, I gotta make some money there.
Right. One to feed the other.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Everything, man.
I want to know.
everything,
I want to know
yeah.
about managing your time. I'm a young father. Larry's older than me. His kids are a little bit older. But how are you managing? How did you manage the business, the pond business, growing the business twice, and then being present for your family and your kids?
Can't be easy.
Yeah, it's not easy. First of all, my kids are amazing. My daughter's 22, my son's 24. They've both worked for us since they were kids, you know. In the beginning, like pre-2008, I had to take them out of private school because the economy got rough. But, we had them in private school. I was always, I would drop them off. I would pick them up. So we were really present. And then when they were babies, like they went to work. My wife is a beast. Like they went to work with my wife. It wasn't like she was a stay-at-home mom. She still ran her business. So there was a lot of interaction, stuff like that. My son at like sometime between 11 and 13, and I know there's a pretty big difference between 11 and 13, but at 11, my son was driving a Bobcat for me. He's like driving the machines for me. And so like they were really involved in all that stuff. And so my daughter still works for me today. I fired my son 2 years ago in a good way, but he's got his own business now,
cool.
Which is really cool. We're very supportive of him, all that. So it's been hard, but it's been really, really rewarding and fun.
That's great.
Yeah.
I hope my son does that.
Yeah.
Like just takes control and he's a hustler. We're talking about it, but that's great that he's 11 on a machine and really learning the business.
The reason I said between 11 and 13, I know he was working with me on a machine at 11, but I remember specifically working on a job. It was the summertime, and he was delivering rock. Like he would drive down this long driveway, and the guys were grown-ass men were loading rock into the machine because I hadn't trained them how to run the machine yet.
That's so funny.
My son was already better than him. They're loading rock into the bucket, and he's like, and he's driving up the hill. And I remember there was a subcontractor on the job site, and they were walking down, and they were like looking in this Bobcat, and they like stopped and turned around like, how old is this kid, right? And he comes up, dumps the rock, spins around, drives back down, right?
That's
awesome.
Crazy. They probably thought it was Mike Andes in there.
Yeah, probably did. Yeah, but it was so that was really rewarding.
Damn, Larry, coming hard at Mike Andes out of nowhere. Where is it? What Mike Andes?
He's not even here,
I just
bro.
think it's a good one.
He's the only one shorter than Larry.
probably anywhere. Probably anywhere.
Larry's like, oh my god!
When I have an eighth of an inch on someone, man, I got to talk
game
about
over.
it.
Oh god. How can people find you? Want to get a part of your coaching call?
Cool,
how to get better at sales? How can people make that happen?
So look, I'm at the Pond Digger pretty much everywhere from YouTube to Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Specifically for coaching, it's trainwithtriplet.com. And if you go to contractorsalessecrets.com, that's where you can get that book that we did. It's a booklet. It's not really technically a book.
I recommend that booklet.
For anyone that's selling.
I absolutely recommend that booklet.
It breaks it down. It's incredible. And it can be used in from anywhere from a lawn cut, right?
Yeah.
To
GCs. Like I have GCs in my group, electricians, lawn care guys, bathroom, specialists, kitchen remodelers, like all trades, electrician, all the stuff's in there. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Really
great.
cool.
It's awesome. Well,
awesome to be on the show. Awesome
thank
to
you.
Get to learn, to get to know you guys so intimately, so quickly, bro. Crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And can you tell the quick story? The other day with Naylor, with how we visualized.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell that story and then how? Because
Okay.
I think it's a pretty crazy story.
Okay, cool.
That was wild.
So I at LCR Summit, which we were at, you mentioned the seminar we just did there. At the end of day one, Naylor runs us through a visionary exercise. Like like close your eyes for manifestation stuff, and it's like hippie bullshit, woo woo. Are you eating mushrooms, smoking weed
But
to
it
make
works
this
for you.
happen? Like, right? You're like, okay, I'll just do it.
I was like, okay,
You know,
manifest.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, all right.
So I do believe in that hippie stuff, even though I don't do mushrooms or smoke weed. But
Right.
I do believe in manifestation. So I went along with the exercise. I just so happened to be reading a book about with Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Week. I'm reading that for a second time, and he talks about reaching out to someone that you don't think would take your call or return your call or anything like that. Reach out to at least 3 people that you're having a, imposter syndrome about.
Right.
So Naylor did the same thing. He's like, I want you to reach out to 3 people. And it was like weird that those 2 things were connecting. So anyways, for years I've thought about Chris Voss. I'd like to meet with Chris Voss. I'd maybe have him on the podcast, but who am I? I only have one person listening to my podcast, me. So like, what's that going to look like? So I remember leaving this scenario. I remember leaving the seminar, running back to the hotel to try and get a little bit of sleep. And before I fell asleep, I was like, I'm going to send a message to Chris Voss. I am going to email him. I'm going to do something.
Right. And he's an author, former
author.
FBI
Yep.
negotiator.
Yep.
Right.
Amazing book, Never Split the Difference.
Right.
He really changed the way I run my business. A lot of the influence of what I talked about in the booklet is in there, and that whole seminar that I talked about. Very, very interesting how that happened. So I'm like, I'm going to talk to him. So I wake up a little bit late. I'm getting late to dinner. I race to the bar. I race downstairs. I'm 7 minutes behind schedule, pissing me off. And the waitress has to take me to the private elevator. She walks me through this dark bar to escort me to this elevator to take me up to the private VIP spot. And as I'm walking through this dark bar, all of these guys have their backs to me. They're at the bar drinking or ordering. Crazy sensation. It's like Chris Voss is right there on my right. And it's about 6 feet away. It's not like I bumped him or something, 6 or something feet away. Weird sensation. That's Chris Voss. And I like kind of glance. I'm like, no way. And I'm beeline because I'm late. That emotion's in you. Like, oh, fuck. I hope I'm not holding things up. Headed towards the elevator. And the lady's already in the elevator waiting for me. Like, come on in, dude, And I'm like, just a minute.
Yeah, give me that minute.
I need a minute. I apologize. I turned around and walked all the way back to the bar, and it wasn't like 2 steps. It was literally like, 20 steps down.
Right.
So I really went out of my way to turn around. I come back, and as I'm walking towards him, I had enough time to think, there's no effing way that's Chris Voss. It's about as tall as I think Chris is. It's impossible that it's Chris Voss. He's got the same frame, for sure. Definitely the same frame as Chris Voss. Maybe he's here at the expo. Maybe he's going to be speaking at the expo. What do I know? He has a coaching program too. But he's going to be speaking at the expo.
Right.
No, there's no way it's Chris Voss. I walk around the corner. I'm like, Chris Voss. Like, what are you doing, bro? And he's like, oh, hey. He was like kind of on his phone. I interrupted him a little bit. I'm like, hey, I don't mean to bother you. We shook hands, had this small talk. But, bro, that manifestation happened right there. And right before I left, I shook his hands. I was still like, it's – you know how when you see something, you're like, oh, it's a coincidence, right?
Right.
It just happened.
Right.
Oh, I don't think he lives in Kentucky, but I'll have to double-check that. But I was like, are you coming to the Landscape Expo tomorrow? He's all, no. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
Why would I go to?
Yeah,
he's like, no.
He's like, no, I'm just in town celebrating with some friends. And it's like, well, I'll let you get to your friends. Pleasure meeting you. Shook his hand and walked away. And I was like, wow.
That's like amazing though, because
That's crazy.
just think about that. That's like you probably have a better shot of almost hitting the lottery than that.
I should have bought a lottery ticket that
should
night.
have. That's just like the craziest thing. How crazy is that? Think about especially you're thinking about it that day, like thinking about it, and then hours later, basically, it happens.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, it's insane.
And he's going to come on the podcast.
Well, I got to get him to. I got to get that email to him and make sure he responds. But
Awesome.
you said it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Next year, you're going to
Chris
manifest
Voss is coming
me.
to the podcast.
You're going to have a manifest about me, and you're going to find me here.
Hey, did I tell you I have a podcast, the Pond Digger Podcast? You can hit me there too. And I have a weekly coaching podcast, and I have a weekly Pond Freak podcast.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Eric, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I feel
What a
I want to do this again. We'll get you back on and be a reoccurring guest to bust Larry's balls.
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right.
Poor Larry.
We'll kick it back to Mr. Producer.